Hey guys. So yeah, we just had an update for Tower Keeps today, and we had something added to the Wizard Tower, which is floor 31, which is only actually visible after you've completed floor 30, so don't worry if you can't see it. And basically this floor just has a really powerful boss in it, and if you beat him, you can reset your tower and start again from floor 1 and collect all the rewards over again. So it's kind of helpful for, if you keep getting the daily rewards to do the Wizard Tower, or if you just have a lot of tickets like I do. So I can beat all of them in one attempt, and so basically every month I use 30 tickets, and I just get more. So now I can just use those to just refarm it in 1 month, which is pretty helpful. Um, but the main problem is this boss is actually very difficult. um, so anyway, just got a bit of a guide here on, well, just heroes that are kind of effective to use against him, because there's some that you wouldn't have really thought of before. So anyway, when you click doing, it gives you this little message: "Are you sure you want to challenge him?" Because he's actually really tough. So yeah, if you're not really prepared, then might not be such a good idea. Um, anyway, so first off, the first thing you have to worry about with him is just killing all the small ads. So what we're going to just do here is put together just a DPS team. Um, this is also because I don't know which boss I'm going to get, because there's a couple different ones. So these are all just DPS heroes, and that should hopefully clear out some of that trash at the start. Alright, I'll just slow that down when we get into. Okay, so I got the fire one. You can tell because he's red. Okay, so now my goal is just to kill these three guys here as fast as I can. As you can see, he just got destroyed. Poor Shaman. If I don't kill anything, that's alright. But I think I'll get this guy at least. There we go. And next target's this guy because he has an attack buff. Yeah, the fire one keeps summoning these demons as well, which is not nice. Okay, so I got all three of those regular ads. Unless he defies death forever, which it looks like he plans on doing. And that got him. Alright, so now I just want to get this guy, and I'm probably not going to make it. Alright, that's alright. So I cleared out those standard ads. So now I get my defeat. And this is where I begin trying to just counteract this guy. So ticket number 2. I should be keeping a tally. So first off is this guy, the Necromancer. He is, I think you're going to always want this guy every single time you fight this boss. I think he's just too good not to use. Not necessarily, but I wouldn't personally not use him. That's mainly because you got your fear here. All enemies have attack reduced by 33%. And this boss does a lot of damage. As you can see, he one-shot my Shaman and proceeded to do some very high hits in some of my other heroes. So yeah, fear is very good. And then there's Ray of Enfeeblement, which is same deal. Reduce attack and defense by 48% and damage by 33%. So again, this reduces his attack and his damage, so he hits me for much less. And it also reduces his defense, which lets me hit him for a lot harder. And I also have Vampiric Touch just because I like this, because just having that heal on the Necromancer means he never dies. But he can still die, of course, but it's just a lot rarer to see. You've got your Poison Dagger, which does some nice dot. Let's see, short. I feel that could be a pretty good skill to use, really, because there's nothing that can really cleanse any dots you put on this guy. So it's probably is quite effective to put some dots on him. And you've got inflict wounds, which is like quite high shadow damage, but it's worth noting these guys also have very high magic resistance. Yeah. Anyway, I will steal armor of one of my other heroes. Haha. You don't need to have top items to do this like I have. The main thing is the fact that, I mean, you have a lot of damage reduction. That's what I like to do. So this is the Fire Wizard. For the Fire Wizard, he doesn't... the one you have to watch out for the most is the Shadow one. He has really high shadow damage. I mean, sorry, just really high damage in general. Destroys you. You probably don't need to do full DPS heavy... Oh, damage reduction heavy spec. But I like to. I'll just show you how useful this actually is. So there's 3 heroes which really shine in that, and my ninja is defending my tower right now. I'll quickly go and get him out. Come out here, ninja. Okay. So put my ninja here. And ninja, so ninja has a true damage attack, and the thing about this boss is he's got really high like resistances and armor, so any true damage you can get is really effective. So yeah, you can't really say no to that. He's got Vanish, which makes him invincible for a little while, which is quite nice. You probably don't even need Vanish really. You could run another one of these, another attack, but I'll just keep it on for the sake of having it. But this one, Poison Dart, is the main reason you want the ninja against this guy, and that's because it deals damage and it also reduces the target's damage by quite a lot. It's a bit of a random number between those two, but either way, even if you roll a minimum, that's still really high. And so basically, this guy reduces damage, this guy reduces damage, this guy also reduces damage, Demon Shout, and what I'm going to do is I'll replace Finishing Strike with Warrior's Challenge, which is the Taunt. Okay. I should probably change where the row as well, but I'm not going to, just because me. So Paladin, I'm going to change Holy Smite to Rebuke. And the reason why this is good is because it reduces attack by a set number. Now, the other 3 reduce attack by a percentage. This is a set number regardless of the percentage. So if the other guys, for example, I mean, they took off 90% of his attack. Now he's only got like 100 left or something. And this guy takes off all the rest of it. If this was a percentage value, it would just... Even if this was like 90%, you're taking off 90% of the 10% remaining. He's still going to have 1% left. But since it's a set value, if you reduce his attack by 90% and then he's only got like 100 left, you reduce all of it. So combining this like set take attack value with percentage attack reduction values is really powerful. And I've got Holy Shield and Block just for defensive reasons. I'll just... Let's see. So I'll just take off my armor here, just to see how I go with no armor, actually. Because most of you probably won't have armor anywhere near as good as this, or at least not much of it. That's okay though. No. Put this blue on. Yeah. I keep my weapons though because I'm lazy. And I'm going to have to put these all back on after. Okay. So they're all got kind of crappy on. That's alright. I'm probably just going to fail epically, but hey, let's see what happens. Main problem is here my samurai uses taunt, so he's going to get thrashed. But the hope is that I can get this up straight away. Bless! There we go. Bless. Yay. And then he's okay. Yay. And that's a lot of damage right there. So yeah, I'm probably going to need that armor, aren't I? But then we got the poison dart. Probably going to need... Actually, forget those guys. I'm going to need to keep on blessing him, otherwise he's just not going to stand a chance. See, he's actually not taking much damage now. So the first ones did hit him for like loads, but now that I've got a bunch of damage reductions on the wizard, he's actually not really hurting me at all. And that one took off 1,000 he's probably going to die now. Oh no, whoa. Okay. No, he's all good still. He's all good. So the taunt fell off, which is not a good time. I like having the taunt up because it means I can just keep on targeting all my blesses on the samurai, and he'll for the most part be fine. And this is just an outlast team. I mean, I'm not really doing too much damage here, as you can see. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You got to try and work out how much damage reduction you can combine with how much actual DPS. And as you can see here, I've gone really overboard on the damage reduction. I'm actually like even with blue armor or no armor at all on these heroes, I'm barely taking any damage now that I've got all these debuffs up. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of showcase how effectively you can survive, I guess. So let's see what this spark does when it comes up. Spark. So it hit the ninja that time. Oh, and one shot. My Necromancer just one shot, 0 from max health to magic jar instantly. And now he's back to doing low hits again, so yeah. Okay, this is bad. I really shouldn't be letting too much of these guys come up. We've got to have some more damage, but yeah. But I've got so many bless stacks on this samurai that once he's got his taunt up, he pretty much soaks all the damage and just doesn't have to worry about anything at all. He's just, yep, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Because he's got so much bonus health as well. Anyway, no, I won't quit. I'm not really doing enough damage to quit. So we got the fire one here. One shot. That happens sometimes. And we got the fire boss here, who summons a lot of those demons on the side. There's also a cold one, which doesn't do as much damage, but he's probably the easiest one in my opinion. But he's got like freeze and stuff like that. There we go. He dodged the poison dart, I think, so he didn't get the damage reduction, and then wiped my whole team with a fireball. Which is quite amusing, that. So another combination we can do. This combination doesn't work as well against this particular guy. Alright, where's my ninja? Just put him back in my tower now. You did good, ninja. You did good. Yeah, you can have that one. Okay, so Amazon and Warmaster. So this one I'm going to come up with now is actually my preferred team for the cold one. You can, I mean, well, you don't have to go this overboard. Okay. So my Berserker is just terrible. You can have this purple swashbuckler armor. He kind of needs it, and I don't want Reckless. He's not going to get any kills though. Yeah, whatever. I'll leave Reckless on, even though he'll probably die from it. So I want Fatiguing Strike here. It actually slows, so that's why I want it. Buff Self, Raging. You can't really stun the wizard. He's got like massive stun resistance. But this Howl, stuns target, which is useless, but it lowers their magic resists by 45%, which is actually very powerful. Don't underestimate that, because this guy has he has huge resistances, so lowering that magic resistance is very helpful. So I've got Warmaster and Amazon and Druid. This is an offensive Druid. And the point of this is basically the Druid entangles and envigs your own team and speeds you up. And the Berserker fatigues. And don't kill me, please. Yay. The Battlemaster, the Warmaster, he gives a lot of... Oh, I'm just going to Frenzy quickly. So, Frenzy, this guy does 2 attacks which do a lot of damage, and then Cover Allies, which protects me. Okay, so Warmaster, Call to Arms, which makes everyone attack faster. So as you can see, I've got 2 heroes which are increasing my attack speed. I've got 2 heroes which are slowing the enemy. And Amazon does 4 attacks in a row with Frenzy. So this is basically all about not letting him attack. This is, okay, that's the weakness to this team. It takes a little bit to get going, because you have to actually get the Entangle to hit. There we go. And then the Fatiguing Strike to hit. There we go. And since my Warmaster is dead before that happens, I kind of screwed up. Because I need his shield. I need his shield tactics to keep going at this. So I don't really stand a chance at this point. But yeah, you can mix this team up with all sorts of things. Like you could use a Shaman instead of an Amazon, because the Shaman just attacks really fast. But yeah, this does kind of decent damage. Obviously, you can actually you can kill this guy in like 2 or 3 tickets if you really if you got everything together and you just perfect it. I wonder if I can get off one more frenzy. Nope, nope. It's close. But yeah, I could have also had like a Necromancer in there, because Necromancer is really good and he can just do that debuff. So one thing I can do is, no, I just said that the Howl is good, but I'm going to get rid of him, get rid of that magic resistance, and I'm going to throw in Necromancer in the front. And Necromancer in the front, there we go. It doesn't really matter what order you use so much, because all of his attacks are ranged, but like the little summons he gets will attack the front since they're all melee. So yeah. Alright. Yeah, Cover Allies off the bat, that just gives a big damage reduction. Oops, I should have enfeebled the boss. I was not paying attention. That was dumb of me. But at least my Warmaster didn't die first this time. So yeah, this one started off really badly, but that can do well if you don't screw up like I just did. Oh dear, the Druid's not the one you want to die. So you got to watch here, make sure there's no other Amazon things in the queue already, and then you use Frenzy. Ah man, that really screwed me over. You need like, if anyone dies, it can't be the Druid, because the Druid's the one that entangles and invigors, and that's what brings this whole party together. So sorry about that. If I had been targeting this guy for the enfeeble off the bat, that would have gone a lot better. Okay, so yeah, I shouldn't have used Frenzy just then, because Triple Strike was already in the queue, so it was a bit of a waste. I won't try that team again, because I mean, I guess you get the basic idea behind it. It's just about slowing the enemy down and attacking a lot yourself. And if you manage to pull that off, you can pretty much just you don't take many hits. That's better. This sort of team is better against the Frost Wizard, because the Frost Wizard doesn't actually hit that high. So it's viable to just slow him down, not get one shot, and then heal back that damage again with rapid regen. But this team, yeah, it's not as good against the fire and the shadow ones because they do some massive hits. They hit really hard, and they keep buffing their damage. And that's where you really need damage reduction if you want to keep going, or just like fast cycle attacks like Shaman and that. So anyway, what other heroes do we have? So we got Mystic. I wouldn't recommend because Mystic just dies too fast. But if you can put together maybe a dodge team, that could be interesting. Problem is, since this guy's ranged, you can't really use Swashbuckler Tank because he won't attack the front line. He'll just attack targets randomly. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, so fire. So for the fire one, he doesn't do as much damage to the shadow one, but he still does a lot of damage. He needs some damage reduction, so it's nice to have that Necromancer. But then you also want to sort of combine in some of the other things. So let me think. So I'm kind of tempted to just go back in with this team, really. I mean, heavy bash. Should probably change that. That would have helped. That's okay. It's blue armor, but that's alright. Okay, let's try that again. May as well. Come on. Gotta get that. Okay. There we go. Enfeeble. And entangle. Yay! So that's a much better start. And then I got my cover allies for the protection, throw in a bit of damage. Then I get some shielding. Then Cyclone does some high damage with this weapon. But if you don't have that weapon, I would probably use like Renewal. What am I using? Entangle. Am I using Invigor? Actually, I don't think I'm using Invigor. I really should be. See when it comes up in the queue. Right. So Frenzy, since there's no other Amazon skills in the queue, and then Shield Tactics. And I should probably do a rapid regen. I probably should have done it instead of Shield Tactics, actually, but it's not a problem. Alright, so I got Entangle, Renewal, and Cyclone. So I should be using Invigor instead of Cyclone. That's another reason why I kind of screwed up. Because then I get more attacks on my side as well, speeding myself up. As you can see, he's not really attacking very often because of this setup. But if I had Invigor, he would be attacking even less. So yeah, that's always helpful. Let's see. Wait for the cover allies. There we go. And now I can push his attacks back a bit. And now I've got 2 stacks of cover allies, so I don't really take much damage. Okay. There's not really anything to regen for at the moment, so I guess I'll do another Shield Tactics. Shield Tactics and Rapid Regen both have really long cooldowns, so I don't really want to wait too long. It's better off to just use it and then gather up the soul energy again. Okay, so again, I should have waited for him to use cover allies before I hit Frenzy. I kind of screwed up there. But this team's going much better this time, as you can see. It's more about outlasting the timer than it is killing him fast. Because, yeah, just not giving him a chance to attack. And the Shield Tactics, yeah. And pretty much all of the damage is just in the Amazon. It's just in that Heart Spear and that Triple Strike. So if you're going to use a team similar to this, you probably want to have a Frostbite. It's a very good weapon. That's one of the first ones I'd recommend crafting out of the epics. My Druid died, but I'm not really too concerned about that. I meant to do that after the Summon Demon. I am sorry. I'm not good at paying attention when I'm talking. It's a bad habit I've had ever since I started doing videos. Okay, so Triple Strike, then Heart Spear, then Frenzy. And then, so that's like 6 attacks in a row. 2 attacks, and then Frenzy itself, and then 3 more attacks. So I think I've pretty much won at this point. I could always be unlucky. That Fireball can sometimes one-shot your whole team. But okay, screwed up again, but it doesn't matter. I've pretty much won. Oop! Crit got it, yay! And yeah, so that takes him out. And I get terrible rewards here. No! Okay, so I come back here and I get some rewards here. 40k gold is quite nice. The other stuff is not too amazing. 100 gems, yeah. 2 random rolls, which is quite often pretty bad, honestly. I got a Warhammer and some skill points, which isn't really too fantastic. The 40k gold is nice, though. It's always low on gold, so it's nice to get some of that. And now my whole tower has been reset, so I can start again and collect all the rewards over again. Okay. So yeah, there's a bunch of... I should do some honorable mentions. So Archer here has 2 true damage attacks, and also he has quite fast cycling, so he's a good DPS hero to use. Problem is he dies very quickly, so if you want to use him, you need to pair him up with like something like the Necromancer or the Samurai for their damage reduction, or the Ninja. You need to have something that can keep him alive, otherwise he's pretty trashed here. Archmage I wouldn't actually use in this. Maybe he could pair up well with the Berserker or something, but he does. His damage is just reduced too much by the high resistances, and his attacks are slow. You'd be better off using something like Warlock if you want to get it, but I wouldn't really say that. I didn't consider this myself, but the Barbarian, I noticed someone else found out that they're really good because of the Owl's Insight, because she can make any of her attacks true damage with a random chance, which is, true damage is very powerful here, as you can very easily tell. So yeah, you can use Owl's Insight, just chuck on Leaping Strike and Weapon Throw, and then Bear's Strength, and yeah, then she'll hit very hard. Good DPS option, but yeah, you don't really want to go full DPS in my opinion, because that's a good way to just die really quickly. Because at least against the Shadow and Fire versions of this wizard. If you're going against the cold one, it could potentially be viable to go full DPS because he doesn't hit as hard, but that's up to you to work out. Yeah, I do recommend actually Berserker. He doesn't hit hard himself, but just because of Fatiguing Strike combined with Howl, that combination there is fairly effective in this situation. So it's nice that he finally has something he's good at, because honestly, he's one of the worst heroes. So good on you for finally having something. I don't use Blackguard here myself, but he's definitely a viable DPS, as he's good at single target damage, and he also can survive well. So that survivability is handy. One thing to mention is, though, running a stun spec on this guy won't work because the wizard himself is very immune to stun. Cavalier, I would not recommend at all, except there's kind of a bit of a cheesy tactic where you can get an Avenge Paladin, and you use Victory or Death just after he uses Avenge, and then you just let the wizard hit you with a super powerful attack, and then the paladin dies, but the avenge is really powerful, and you can revive him with cleric. Um, that's a bit of a cheese tactic, but it's also really hard to pull off because you don't know that the wizard is going to hit your paladin. So you've got to like just get your paladin to keep on blessing the cleric over and over and over so your cleric doesn't die. And then after he uses avenge, you use your victory or death, and just hope that the wizard attacks your paladin with something strong. Otherwise, she's kind of screwed. So I don't really recommend that too much. There's Kensai. You can run him with like perfect strike. I wouldn't recommend using Kensai though. I would like, if you're gonna use DPS, I'd use something like Amazon because of frenzy and cover allies, or the Shaman, really. But it's perfectly viable if you got a good Kensai. Definitely Ninja. He's one of my favorites for this content. Just because of that poison dart, and also Vanish, because I mean he'll be quite often your last hero to die because Vanish is just so good. Paladin, even without Avenge, he's very good here because of his party buffs, like just keeping your party really defended. Along with like if you got a taunt hero like the samurai in the back, blessing him over and over and over again so the samurai can just never die, and but soak up all of the attacks of that taunt. That's really good tactic as well. So Paladin is definitely quite a high profile target here. You can use Avenge because there are some very heavy hits from the boss, but one thing to note is if you're using a bunch of damage reduction heroes like Samurai and Necromancer, there's no point to the Avenge because you're not going to get hit very hard. So you're better off doing Rebuke or Holy Shield or something to just be more defensive. Samurai, very high profile. That the attack debuff is the main reason you want Samurai. If you don't have Paladin, then don't use Taunt on the Samurai because the Samurai would just die first, and it'd be useless. The only reason you want to use Taunt is if you have Paladin to keep blessing, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're just kind of suiciding that character. But even if you don't use the Paladin, it's good to just run in with 2 damage attacks along with Demon Shout. That's still quite viable. Shaman is good just purely for damage, but pure damage you don't want too much of. So, I mean, you want to combine this guy with like Necromancer and some other things that with buffs and debuffs and such. I haven't actually tried Spell Sword myself, but I believe maybe she could be useful for removing the attack buff from the Shadow one, but it's just not really necessary. I prefer to just debuff because the like debuffs like the enfeeble and everything, they're not soul skills, so you don't have to rely on that cooldown and everything. But that's something to think about. Templar could potentially be good for the full party res, but I wouldn't worry about that. Warlock could be a damage option, but you're like, yeah, she needs to be run with things that can keep her alive. Witch, it's something to talk about. So, so Hex is useless because it's a stun, and this guy has stun immunity. But Curse, target receives 55% more damage, and if you add the passive, you can get it like if this is at level 10 and you add the passive, you can get 75%. So target receives 75% more damage. That's actually very good. So the Witch herself is not really a hero that I like that much, but I think that one thing, Curse, has very high potential here, especially combined with the fact, well, let's say we've also got Refreshing Brew, which is basically rapid regen, but it's not a soul skill. This is very powerful. The only problem is it's got really low initiative, so you don't see it cast often. But if you're in a survive fight like we were before, where you last out basically the whole timer, this is actually good. So those are the only 2 attacks that are really good. I mean, you can choose Ilbrew or Vile Dartus next, whatever. You want this one to buff your Curse, and then you probably want this one. So basically this this makes your Witch basically a mad tank. So at max level, you can get 50% increased armor and or resistance. And yeah, so as long as you can survive that start of the game, she becomes quite invincible. And then you've got Coven Mistress. This makes you deal more damage and heal for more, which is less. I mean, that's kind of good, but we'd prefer to just reduce the damage of the enemy with other things like the Necromancer and Samurai. So yeah, it's not really too big a deal. But yeah, this is something the witches can potentially be good at. So there's something there. And yeah, as this team I just mentioned, Druid's good for slowing the enemy, speeding up your own team with Vigor, and also rapid regen. We've got the Warmaster, who's just a great support. He increases everyone's damage. He shields everyone with his soul skill. He reduces their cooldowns, which is really good here, because you don't want the boss to attack you very much. So reducing your own cooldowns is so helpful. And yeah, Amazon's just great for dealing damage, but then cover allies, 30% damage reduction for your whole team, except for her. That's the one thing to worry about. So it could be good to like put a Paladin in the team, keep on blessing her to keep her alive, but then covering allies to keep everyone else alive, and that's be a pretty reasonable team as well. And Necromancer is probably my favorite. Ninja's quite up there as well. Ninja and Necromancer, they're both so good at this because of their damage reductions. Necromancer also reduces their defense, so he's got to take the number one spot here with that Ray of Enfeeblement. I just don't know. I mean, I wouldn't really go against this boss without the Necromancer. There's a few teams I use that can do it fine, but Necromancer is just such a good pick. So anyway, hope you found this somewhat helpful, and good luck. If I get around to the Cold and Shadow Wizards at some point soon, I might put a little footage up showing how I beat them. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you around.